I've written a book, and we're going to come back and talk about it, called Pinheads and Patriots. And at this point, it's very hard to see which you are. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 clapbacks on The View.
I won't talk the rest of the show, no problem.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most unforgettable, straight-up brutal burns throughout the show's history. Did we forget one of your favourite clapbacks from the show? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10, the panel versus Hasselbeck on abortion bans. Many segments on The View descend into tense arguments, and this particular one is no different.
If men could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament.
Discussing the Supreme Court's 2007 ruling on partial birth abortions, the panel went back and forth about the impact of the decision on women's reproductive rights.
2/3 of this country do not want partial birth abortions to be
But
legal,
Elizabeth,
so it's representative of our country.
0.15%.
2,000 lives. We count the lives
but
of
listen,
soldiers.
0.15%, and mostly the baby is severely ill or the mother's life is at risk.
With Elizabeth Hasselbeck being against abortion and Rosie O'Donnell being on the other side of the debate, the conversation quickly escalates. Towards the end of the segment, Joy Behar enters the discourse with a poignant question for Hasselbeck, given her usual position in favour of limited government.
Usually say that government should stay out of people's business. This is an example of that. This would be between a woman and a doctor, not the government.
Behar calls out the hypocrisy in an attentive manner, making this clapback a rather insightful one. Number 9, it's called The View. Yet another win for Behar. In this segment, the host talks about conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh wishing for President Obama to fail.
To say I hope he fails is very unpatriotic as far as I'm concerned.
Panelists like Joy Behar criticize the comments, while Elizabeth Hasselbeck diverts the conversation back to Obama and liberal members of the media.
There are 14 million people a week who listen to Rush. People who want to hear what he has to say, whether you like it or not.
That doesn't mean they're fans.
Behar retorts with her opinion of Limbaugh and his larger reputation, and when she's told that this is merely her opinion, she has an absolutely great retort.
Listen, I believe in free speech, but I'm going to call it vitriol and hate speech.
In your opinion.
In my opinion, that's what I'm here for. It's called The View.
With the ability to inject a serious point with humour, this comedian pulls out all the stops to deliver one show-stopping reply that actually earns her a round of applause. Number 8, Whoopi's wisecrack. Occasionally, heated bickering on The View pushes one of the hosts to the brink.
Particularly Donald, if he goes under, as I've said before, the lie machine will explode.
This is certainly the case on this episode of the talk show, as Whoopi Goldberg comes to terms with one of Meghan McCain's diversions.
But
I don't understand that.
My job here is not to litigate the ethics of it. I'm an ABC political analyst along with being a View co-host.
They discuss Trump's impeachment, with the conservative host talking over everyone to offer her viewpoint. Tension rises over, and Goldberg jumps on McCain with this, frankly, iconic quote.
Girl, please stop talking. Please stop talking right now. Because you know what?
No
What's
problem.
happening? Thank
No,
you.
no problem.
Thank you.
It effectively silences her colleague as she agrees to keep quiet in one of the most passive-aggressive moments ever. Viewers of the program will recognize this kind of hostility, but rarely does it ever come out in such a succinct way. Number 7, the anti-choice comeback. One of the more controversial topics The View often covers is the subject of abortion, which, coincidentally, also mirrors the country's many debates on the subject. The panel talks about a pro-life protester interrupting one of President Obama's commencement speeches. True to her pro-choice leanings, Joy Behar jumps in to say her piece.
What bugs me about the movement, though, they call it pro-life and then pro-choice. They should really call it pro-choice and anti-choice.
Both she and co-host Whoopi Goldberg take issue with the term pro-life and its insinuations that those who are pro-choice don't value life.
It's very much an insult to me, as a person who values life, to say that I'm not pro-life. Who are these people?
I am also pro-life.
Elizabeth Hasselbeck pushes back against their critique, but this prompts Behar to deliver this coherent and pointed comeback.
Call yourself
Because
something
now
different then.
They were saying
No, they
a
should
lot.
call themselves what it is, which is anti-choice.
Number 6, what's that old saying again? Author and provocateur Ann Coulter brings pure chaos and questionable opinions to this appearance on The View. While discussing the writer's new book, the panel moves into a dialogue about the immigration debate. Host Raven-Symoné interrupts the proceedings to deliver a classic retort mothers everywhere clapped for. She openly confronts the guest's xenophobia and negativity, which only builds with each answer. Sometimes you just need to let people know how you feel, and the former That's So Raven star does just that.
My mom taught me when I was younger, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Coulter tries to dodge the comments, but the other hosts hold her to them in an especially cringy interview. Number 5, I want him out. During a discussion about Michael Bloomberg's entry into the 2020 presidential campaign, the show argues over his track record in New York City.
You have to win over the Midwest and Pennsylvania and coal miners and people that are not attractive to a lot of the Democratic coalition in order to win the presidency, and Trump has that locked and loaded right now.
Both Sunny Hostin and Meghan McCain express uncertainty about him as a candidate, but Joy Behar welcomes his presence in the race. Even as her co-hosts assert that he can't beat Trump, Behar utters this defining line in regards to the then incumbent president.
I don't want to make myself feel better. I want him out.
She acknowledges Bloomberg's imperfections and hopes that he'll provide another chance to put pressure on President Trump. Sticking to her guns, the outspoken panelist wins the day as McCain prepares a rebuttal. And the quote clearly flusters the conservative host as she calls her colleague by the wrong name afterwards.
Climate change is a good way to win over coal miners, Joy.
Number 4, Whoopi Goldberg versus Donald Trump. After watching this clip, it's abundantly clear that Whoopi Goldberg and Donald Trump don't enjoy each other's company. Before he was president, the businessman made an appearance on The View and talked about President Obama's birth certificate.
Why doesn't he show his birth certificate? I think he probably... Because I have to and everybody else has to.
During the segment, Trump makes false accusations about the commander-in-chief's heritage and the birther conspiracy movement. Goldberg can be spotted rolling her eyes as the guest spirals into rants, which is hilarious in itself. The TV personality ultimately drops an unforgettable line in regards to Trump's conspiratorial language.
I'm telling you. I love you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
Not only that, the host and her fellow panelists dish up a series of questions he fails to adequately answer.
I've never heard any white president ask to be shown the birth certificate.
Number 3, Rosie O'Donnell calls Elizabeth Hasselbeck cowardly. During their ongoing discussions about President Bush and Iraq, the cast of The View butt heads on the administration's decision-making regarding the war.
It's very long, so we might be here for a while.
You might be here. I let you talk yesterday. Now I'm talking.
Rosie O'Donnell and Elizabeth Hasselbeck argue about the former's statements regarding the conflict and the deaths of many Iraqi people.
You just said our enemies in Iraq. Did Iraq attack us?
No, I'm saying Al-Qaeda.
Okay,
who is
did
in
Iraq...
In discussing her words being taken out of context, O'Donnell accuses her co-host of not properly defending her over media accusations.
Do you believe that I think our troops are terrorists? And you would not even look me in the face, Elizabeth, and say, no, Rosie.
It's hard to believe that the two were ever friends, given their frequent arguments and differing political viewpoints. O'Donnell ultimately labels Hasselbeck's inaction on the controversy as cowardly.
I asked you if you believed what the Republican pundits were saying.
Did I say yes?
You said nothing, and that's cowardly.
No.
After this particular clapback, their strained relationship clearly takes another huge step backwards. Number 2, a lying sack of dog mess. Former Fox News personality Glenn Beck joins the panel in this clip. Things get off to a bad start as the hosts question him about recent statements he made in reference to a train ride with Whoopi Goldberg and Barbara Walters.
We didn't reserve seats. I don't know what.
Well,
wait, let me just let. No, because wait a minute.
On his own program, the TV personality told an embellished story about meeting the hosts that painted them in a bad light.
How did they reserve
seats on Amtrak when you can't reserve seats on Amtrak?
The panelists call him out for lying about the situation.
Why did you lie about that?
Why did I lie about that?
Yeah, why did you say she came over?
I don't know. I came over. I don't know.
Beck attempts to backpedal, but it's too late as he endures the wrath of the hosts. Goldberg delivers the final blow as she calls out his poor attempts to reconcile with a memorable phrase.
Wait a minute. You're accusing me of lying. Let me tell you what.
What do you mean I'm accusing you?
I'm
You
sorry,
sat there and you were a lying sack of dog mess.
Needless to say, the guest's credibility takes one continuous nosedive throughout the segment.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Joy and Whoopi walk away. When Bill O'Reilly came on The View, it was only a matter of time before a fight broke out. This particular retort comes after the panel discusses the building of a mosque near Ground Zero.
The mosque down here on 9/11. That's inappropriate. It's sure they have a right to do it and the Constitution, but it's inappropriate.
Conflating the 9/11 hijackers with all Muslims, the conservative commentator doubles down on his disapproval with insensitive statements. The guest continues to put his foot in his mouth, even as Whoopi Goldberg and her co-hosts push back. In protest to O'Reilly's bigotry, Goldberg and Joy Behar walk off the set. It might not have been a verbal clapback, but it certainly proves a point. It's also one of the most defining moments in the show's history.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.